Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I am Cody. He is Andy. Together, we are the Tech Talk trio, bringing you charts of the day that we see interesting for all of our viewers to enjoy with us.
You and I are a duo, but Paige and I are a trio. So which one are we talking about?
Oh, did I say trio?
You did say trio. That's
all
okay.
Right. Well, Paige is always with
here. It's a trio. She's the brains. She's the real brains behind the operation.
That is true.
I mean, let's just call us Paige.
I forgot to give Paige a shout out. She is a trio. We are the trio.
And she keeps telling me that I have a face for radio. So, who knows what that means? I don't know. But
I feel like a lot of us at this company kind of fall into that same category.
You think so?
I do.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
But it's all right. It is what it is.
You know what? That's okay. How was your long weekend, by the way?
It was good. Got a little bit
chilly,
a little cold yesterday, a little cold on Sunday. Going to be brittly cold tonight.
Did you say frittly? Like F-R-I?
Brittly.
Brittly.
And then we slowly climb ourselves back out.
Brittly. Is that B-R-I-T? I got to think about how I would spell brittly. Is it or?
It's an adjective.
Okay. We'll look it up. We'll pull out the old Webster's dictionary. We'll see whether or not brittly is. If it's not, then it's got to get in there because I knew exactly what you were trying to say, by the way. Like brittly. Like
it's cold.
Okay.
It's cold.
Bone chilling. It's like adjective, bone chilling. So,
there you go.
Okay, fair enough. Speaking of bone chilling, we got some charts that are just ice cold today.
We got some good ones.
Number one
spot Whey.
It is dry Whey. This is the spot market. So this is not futures. This is just spot Whey on the exchange. This is a weekly. And so you'll see that over the last couple of weeks, it's been pretty stagnant. This is going back to 12.20, weekend in 12.20, 74 cents. So far this week, a whopping 73.75, down a quarter from several weeks ago. That was when it, tried to touch 80 cents, couldn't get there, and since then came off, and we've just been trading sideways. But futures, on the other hand, starting to build in quite the discount. What's interesting about Whey, you could theoretically downtick this bad boy quite a bit and still be technically in a nice uptrend.
Yeah.
Thoughts, questions, comments?
I agree. It's kind of like we were talking about, and we'll take a little peek here in a second at Class 3, but I think you had that same comment last week when we talked about Class 3 could break a good 70, 80 cents, and you're still in the uptrend, and dry Whey is the same thing. My biggest question is, do we go down to where the rest of the world seems to be trading at, which is 40 cents, 40 to 50 cents?
So I just did a quick fibby, as our my good friend Bob Zinn would say. He always used to call them fibbies on the floor. Give me a fibby of this. Going back, this is way back when, 22 cents. My gosh, couldn't even think Whey could trade that low. Yeah, going all the way back there. But that takes Whey just a 33, just a third of a retracement of this move, 57 and some change. And what's interesting is that takes you right where all this noise was, super close, not 100% there. Well, I guess it depends on where you want. Hang on, I'm a little low. This isn't cooperating, so we're going to do this instead. It's super close, right? To where it really accelerated. Once it crossed 60 cents, I mean, this thing just took off. Added nearly 20 cents to it. That to me is like, and when you look at some of the futures out forward, May, for example, 63.75 offer with no bid. That to me is like, okay, futures are forecasting a significant break, obviously, but like I just think it's super interesting that you have all this congestion before it took off. That's a point of, potential support.
I agree. I almost wonder if you kind of come back down and try to test 70 cents and then keep our stride a little bit higher. Because at this point, at 80 cents, what's going to bring us higher in the world market on dry Whey than 80 cents? I don't know. I don't know.
You know what? Didn't Biebs always say, never say never?
Never say never.
That's what Bieber said, though. Never say never. I agree with you, though. Interesting little tidbit about Whey and some of these powders, too. I mean, it's a question to me. It's whether or not the NDPSR, I call it the NAS still. Other than NAS, whether it starts to, it levels out. Like we saw it have that big jump from like 62 to 70 over the course of like 3 weeks. That's once it settles itself in, it can be tough to move sometimes. So that could be something to be really mindful of. Is when does the actual NDPSR start to roll over on a week, like several weeks in a row, you need downticks. But yeah, this is interesting. Like you could test, let's just take this price. That's 71 and some change. call it 71.5 cents. Not that much lower. It's just another 2 cents lower, and you're testing this big uptrend here. Yeah, I don't know, man. This feels heavy. The futures don't look good out forward. You've got, they're beating them up. You've got offers for, I think, April traded limit today with no bid. So I don't know, but I feel like if this starts to roll over and breaks this first trend, it turns into a quick trip to 60 cents, assuming we start to see, like I said, the NDPSR start to actually downtick. So once you can start getting those downticks in, I think it's a quick yikes.
Which the way that dry Whey is traded, you have a few weeks of propulsion higher, and then we just kind of sit here and lag ourselves for 2 months, which we're in that right now. And we did the same thing back at 60 cents. Everyone said, what's going to take us higher than 60 cents? Boom. And we finally got out of it, and up to 75 we go.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Does it turn into? I think I asked you it was today. I think I asked you today, do you remember the movie where the dude's riding the nuclear bomb with he's got the cowboy hat?
Which I didn't, but.
Okay. I forgot. You're still working on episode 1, season 1 of Game of Thrones. So you're still working on that. It's spoiler. I don't want to.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to, we won't have any spoilers there. I can remember when there was a key character that something happened to them and they actually put it in the news the next morning. I didn't watch that episode on Sunday night. I saw the news the next morning. It's like a headline. It's like,
how did you ever survive?
Come on, spoiler. So we won't spoil it. All right, next chart. So keeping up with the theme so far, spot cheese. What do you think?
Spot cheese, man. Oh boy. Did we
wicked week last week?
All of last week? Yes, we did. That's what makes me nervous. So if you go back to last week and all the volatility that we had in the spot cheese trading, we were up 9 cents, I think, at one day. The very next day, we were down 7, and we just went all over the place last week, all 5 days. This week, we're on Tuesday, and dropped the block 11 cents. And it wasn't even like you tried offering it lower strategically. It was just like, let's get after it 1/4 cent at a time and bring this sucker down.
So it's hard to see that little dash right there. That is the first print of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have a candle to it because it's just simply like a gap.
Correct.
Right. So it just gaps lower on the open. So if we sat here, did nothing for the rest of the week, there would be no candle. It would just be this dash.
Correct.
Those are wicked. Right. And you made a great observation. Kudos to you. We not only settled below last week's low, but we also settled below the previous week's low. And we opened below those two lows. So if you and I talk about it all the time. It's like you get a formation or a chart or a bar or whatever you're looking at. Do you get confirmation from the next bar? How does the next one open?
Yeah.
And in this case, yikes.
Yeah.
You get the confirmation and then some. So you, if I remember correctly, talked quite a bit about a big W that could be forming here over the long term. You had to erase some stuff, unfortunately.
I was just going to bring that back up to you, and I talked about it about 2 episodes ago. And honestly, I still think it's going to happen. I still think you try to bring cheese down to $1.60 with all the, the geopolitical things that we have going on outside of our realm of charts here. I think it really leans itself to pushing the price down there.
So 160 is right here.
Because what was our low? Were we at 163?
So that would be, you're talking about, you're saying cheese gets below that low. Because that's about 162-ish, 161.5.
At or below, just because sometimes it overdoes it to the downside before we turn
so you think we go down there, trade, and then we get a little popper?
Yes. At that point, what are we going to be to the rest of the world as far as cheese prices?
Got it. I'm not going to disagree with you. I think you drew that a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're totally on point here. The only thing that bugs me, here's what bugs me about this. You ready?
Yep.
We had this big break in futures today in class 3. Obviously, it seemed like it was more Whey driven because if you look at the cheese board, not that much of a break today relative to cash.
Right.
Now, granted, there were some pretty hefty discounts that were already baked in. So really, April is current cash. May is a little bit of a premium. June is and on is they're building in not huge premiums, right? But really didn't have that big of a day today in the cheese futures. I mean, to your point, they just destroyed them, and block was down over they just hammered it. So the futures market is actually building in a little bit of a carry for the first time in a while.
And that brings me back to last week. What we saw happen is we got in here on Monday, and again, I could be wrong on some of these numbers, but I want to say on Monday we were down 9. Or maybe we're up 8 one day, then down 9 the next.
So it's like down
what if
7,
that same thing happens tomorrow? Like, what if we just start bouncing around? All of a sudden, you're moving 88 cents in one day.
It's possible. We certainly, to say it's not possible, it would be, crazy. We did it last week. I don't know. Like, to me, it's like, so we're going to look at Feb in a second. You have to let the futures be, I think you have to let them be somewhat of a guide here. Right. And so let's take a quick peek ski at it. Feb started pricing today. It is first day, February. I think you have to let the futures, again, to your point, be your guide and say, like, cash can go do whatever it wants here in the interim.
Right.
But this looks weak.
It does. And we broke out of your long-term trend. I think last week internally, you were kind of banging the drum on a Head and Shoulders more than anybody. And if it's played out, right? Like, it is played out as of today.
Well, I think fully playing it out would be, you got to reap like 8 out. This has the potential, I feel like, to go trade an 18.5 type price. Because if you go back to the cheese chart, we just started pricing February, right? You take this bad boy down and just take it to 170. And if you actually start chipping away at Whey on the NAS, that's only, remember, 1 cent in Whey is 6 cents in Class 3. So I said NAS again, didn't I? Oh, whatever. It's, people know what? I'm not changing it. Like, that's it.
Hey,
like, I'm open to change. I'm open to, like, improvement, of room for improvement. But when it comes to NAS versus NEPSR, it's not happening.
It's NAS, yeah.
But yeah, going back to it, it's this. Do you feel like would you sell it here? Let's ask that question.
Would I sell it here? Yes.
Yes. So today, it's not limit offer anymore.
Right.
Well, there was a pool building at limit.
Yep.
And now it's limit down bid. So you're a seller at 43.
You can sell it at limit down right now, and I think I'd still be a seller there because, to your point, you start breaking to 18.5. I would start liquidating some of those positions at that point because now you're at the bottom end of that range.
Yes, I'd agree. And what's interesting too is that you have, for the first time since, this is December, you have momentum that's actually in the favor of the bears.
Yes.
For a long time, you had this little dipsy-do here, and then it came right back out. But to get back down below 0, so remember, momentum is basically, looking at the previous X number of periods and saying where are we relative to that price. And momentum, what's interesting about that one is that it can start to slow down even if prices are going up. And so, like, here, it made a clear Head and Shoulders. If you look at, what's funny? I almost just tried to point at the screen with my finger. Dummy. And let me use the actual tools. So, like, right here, it's clearly failed to make a new high. Even though you had this big up day, it's clearly a sign of weakness. So, all in all, like I said, the momentum is starting to kind of point that way. The money flow index too, that's a measure of volume for, like, days that are, red days, more volume, money's going, more sell side is coming into the market, basically. So as it's trending lower, it means there's more volume and more, like, money entering the market on down days and vice versa to the up.
And that's to hit on that. The commitment of traders came out last Friday, and I know everyone in the company has said I've had my tinfoil hat on, which is fine, but they were
loving a tinfoil hat. Don't get me wrong.
Hat on because they were net long more than 2,000 positions in Class 3. We looked back, and maybe we should bring up that chart up for next week. Every time they get net long, net short more than 2,000 positions, we have a massive whipsaw the other way very quickly. If they're long 2,000 contracts, usually prices fall apart, and that is exactly what we saw today.
Have you ever watched Karate Kid?
I did.
Okay, so when everybody gets, like, loaded up on one side of the boat, Danielson, like, he falls over. I think you just hit the nail on the head there. You start loading everybody up on the boat on the one side, it's easy to tip over.
Exactly.
I agree. It's tough to want to be a seller on a limit day like this. Just mentally, it's just like, man, like, we just broke 75 cents. My gosh. Like, and every day, not every day, but every time we've had these big downticks, big uptick the next day, right? Big down day, through 1, 2, 3 big up days, not big, but like 1, 2, you have a retracement, then back down. So I think at the very least, you have to be of the mentality to be selling rallies. If you don't want to be a seller limit down, I think you have to be thinking real hard about, like, I should be a seller of rallies, at least buyer of puts into a rally, doing something. Because conversely, like, ask the question, what's going to take us back to $20 milk? You're talking about Feb cheese going back to, like, 186, 187. To your point, not that, like, we saw how quickly it went back last week. I guess my only thing I'll say about last week was, if you look back, the days that we were lower in cash, the futures were more aggressively sold versus the days that we were higher. I think it was like Monday we were down 7 in the block, or I forget what. And then, Tuesday we were up like 9. Monday we were down 65 cents in futures up front. Tuesday we're up, 45 intraday, settled like 28, 30 higher. And it just seemed like there was kind of sell side pressure. And so the market was seemed like it was taking it more of an opportunity to sell. So I think you have to be of that mindset.
I mean, hey, like I've told people, tomorrow's going to be the big tell. If we come in here and all of a sudden they start bidding cheese back higher again and we are moving 88, 89 cents like we did that Wednesday, then okay. Now things are something else is going on outside of our realm.
There's something afoot.
There's something afoot.
The game is afoot.
Some tomfoolery here.
Tomfoolery.
But I think next week we should bring up that CFTC chart, the commitment of traders, and take a peek at because if you look at it, the highs and the lows have been pretty wicked the past couple months here.
You put in your own request
for the trio.
And for the trio.
Well, we put Paige from now on Paige. I apologize. Yeah.
You also got to throw Paige's cat in there too. Every now and again, the cat will like cut across the screen. So like, what's a
Mr. Fluffles?
Quadruple? Like, what is there's a duo, a trio.
4 is a party.
4 is a party. Quadruple.
No idea.
Quad. Paige is typing a quad. We knew it was like quad something. I just don't know.
As she's laughing at us, it's a quad. All right.
Well, we gave her plenty to laugh about.
It's fair.
All right. Stay warm, I guess, huh?
Make sure those water pipes don't freeze.
That's a really good tip.
Drip that water.
Drip that thing. Get that thing dripping. Like, you don't want your pipes bursting in the middle of the night when it's minus 30 degrees. Paige is laughing, but it's true. Like,
yeah, you wake up to a foot of water in your house and it's going to be no bueno.
That's no Gouda.
It's no Gouda. Exactly.
All right. I'm done.
All right. Well, we had no requests this week, but if anyone would like to send us a request for next week, besides our CFTC chart that we're going to peep at, please let us know. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send it in an email. We will get it on there. We want to thank Paige for always being there behind the scenes, keeping us rocking and rolling, keeping us on task, and making us look as best as we possibly can. But until next week, that's going to do it for our show. Have a great week, an even better weekend, and we'll see you next week, everybody.
Adios.